1. The Red River County Fair was the pinnacle of summer in Fargo, North Dakota. An entire week where the whole city is all but shut down for the sake of fighting through crowds to overindulge in unnecessarily fried foods and expensive cheap beer. The classic car show and robust scenery of butter sculptures and rotund hogs at the 4-H exhibit drew in the masses as well. As 1985's version of the county fair was ending, bittersweet reality shifted. The adults had to act like grown-ups again, and all of the soon-to-be freshmen at North Dakota State had to start growing up and learn how to be adults. Amid the last hurrah energy pulsating throughout the fair-going Fargonauts on that climactic final Saturday sat one young co-ed named Carrie Pinelli. Sticky and sweating in an out-of-order cotton candy booth, Carrie was desperate for the fair to end. Carrie Pinelli was a farmer preacher's daughter from Caledonia, Wisconsin. Carrie's upbringing was simple, structured, and sheltered. Her life on the farm was God, family, chorin', then school, in that order. If she had any free time, her father felt that time should be spent either praying or helping somebody that doesn't have enough free time of their own. Having fun ain't gonna get you any closer to heaven was his favorite mantra. Carrie had never ventured anywhere outside the radius of being known as Pastor John's daughter before. College was the perfect opportunity for Carrie to drop that moniker. She was starting as a freshman at NDSU on the coming Monday. However, she left home early for a job at the county fair to earn a few extra bucks, as well as an extra week of freedom. As happy as early freedom made her, by Saturday, Carrie was over being relegated to a tiny box, spinning sugar and watching people love the lives they were living. As the 5 o'clock sun rays pierced through Carrie's plexiglass cage, she sat sweltering and annoyed, waiting both for her shift to end and for someone to come and fix the GD broken cotton candy machine. The concessions captain, Gary, entered through the back of the booth to deliver Carrie an update. "Well, young lady, I've got some good news and some bad news. Which would you like first?" "Bad, I guess," Carrie replied exhaustedly as she sat slouched, wiping sweat from her brow. Gary sighed as he looked down at the floor. "We're still trying to track someone down to fix the machine. I knew I should have taken that class. It's just, life happened. The wife was—" "And the good news is," Carrie interrupted, "we aren't going to let a little setback stop this locomotive. We're going to stay open until it's all fixed." Carrie sat there, moist and defeated. Her blood began to boil. The stupid fucking grin on Gary's face was genuine, but still infuriating to look at because Carrie saw nothing to smile about inside that booth. "The show must go on. Perseverance through adversity is what shapes who we become after we weather the storm," Gary added. Gary obviously took his job very seriously. He continued to pontificate about how concessions were the nucleus of the entire fair, how 10 years ago he started right here in this cotton candy booth, and within the next 10 years he'll be running the whole show. Gary continued on about how the life lessons she'll obtain in her booth will be much more valuable than a few extra hours of freedom will ever be. Carrie was taught to always be reserved, and to refrain from having an opinion outside of what the good book says. Her outward demeanor may have been sweet and submissive, but her inner voice was very sarcastic and jaded. Not many people shared her sense of humor back home. However, she was the funniest person in her own brain, so in her own brain is where she preferred to be. Going to college in a new city where nobody knew her was Carrie's opportunity to let that inner voice speak. Her first chance to do that was wearing a manila short-sleeve button-up and staring at her through Coke bottle bifocals. Carrie stared back at the mini donut crumbs stuck in the mahogany steel wool covering Gary's upper lip, fantasizing about how good it would feel to punch him in it. She stopped listening to Gary talk at her and was ready to stop pretending to listen as well. Carrie's eyes grew large. She inhaled a deep breath and paused, poised as if she had been frozen mid-sentence. "Nobody gives a shit, Gary, and neither should you. Not this much. It is the last day of an event that happens for a week, once a year, and you're hanging your hat on a 10-year ascension up Carnival Mountain to become fucking Captain Cotton Candy? I mean, do you sit around for 51 weeks a year just waiting to matter? I know you want to impress whoever's in charge so you can fulfill your sad little carny dreams, but come on, dude. For what? There is no cotton candy. Look around you, Gary. It's the last day. Everything else is gone too. We have Mars bars and Pepsi free, which is a funny coincidence. Do you want to know why that is? It's because just like you, nobody likes them. Carrie nearly spoke her thoughts in that moment. She felt sorry for him, because it was the only dream he had. Carrie just nodded, agreed, and swallowed her frustrations. Gary continued about his rounds, and Carrie sat dismally listening to the clock tick slowly. She leaned her elbows against the counter, head resting in her palms, and thought about how the first week of her new life was nothing like she dreamt it would be. A large silhouette interrupted Carrie's wallowing gaze toward the summer sun. She assumed it was yet another cotton candy enthusiast she was going to disappoint. Just as she fixed her mouth to politely inform the mysterious fairgoer to fuck off, a gentleman drew close enough to see. What appeared to Carrie was a 6'4" dreamboat in a neon yellow mesh football jersey full of ambiguously brown-skinned muscles. His name was Marty Christophers. "May I have 2 cotton candies, please?" Marty asked, approaching the window. "Huh?" Carrie asked, both irritated and enamored simultaneously. 2 cotton candy," Marty replied. "Hungry?" Carrie responded sarcastically. Marty nonchalantly leaned on his elbow, shot Carrie a debonair stare, winked, and let her know that the second cotton candy would be for her. Carrie felt an oddly familiar and powerful connection to Marty, a feeling she had yet to share with anyone. When they locked eyes for the first time, it felt as if their souls had been holding hands forever. After only speaking 2 words to him, Carrie felt she could tell Marty anything. Now, what makes you believe that the cotton candy girl at the fair is sitting around waiting for some Adonis to not only come sweep her off her feet, but to do so with the gift of something she currently, as luck would have it, is already covered in? Carrie rebutted. Unfazed and no less confident, Marty smiled and looked down for a moment. "The only thing I heard you say just now was that you think I'm an Adonis." Carrie let out a reluctant chuckle. "Well, you can't have any cotton candy even if I wanted some. The machine's broken." "You could have led with that," Marty said with shrugged shoulders and a vexed look on his face. "Maybe put up a sign or something. Why are you even here?" "You mean besides waiting patiently for Prince Charming to rescue me from Cotton Candy Castle?" Carrie said with a smirk. "I'm here because we have Mars bars and Pepsi free." Carrie's resting face was very stoic. She spoke in a droll, sarcastic tone while pointing out her limited sundry like an apathetic Vanna White. Marty had not stopped smiling since he walked up to Carrie's booth. He became increasingly infatuated with every pithy word that came spilling out of her mouth. Most of the girls Marty talked to didn't have much to say back besides, "Totally," in between smacks of fruit stripe. Marty was entering senior year at NDSU as the quarterback and captain of the football team. He led the Thundering Herd to 2 conference championships and 3 consecutive title game appearances. Marty played basketball and ran track as well. However, not one of those activities put a tingle in his dingle. Marty's father, a reverend at Lake Forest Baptist Church in northern Illinois, envisioned his son's future by his side on the pulpit. Marty didn't have a distant vision of his life beyond one day having the freedom to do the opposite of his father's wishes. Football was a ticket out of his hometown and a free ride while he figured out where he wanted to go. Marty played basketball because Fargo was a hockey town and the basketball team was terrible. His size, hue, and mediocre ball skills made Marty the go-to guy on a team where very few fans came to watch play and which no one expected to win. Running track was a mandatory request for Marty's football coach to keep him in shape and out of trouble in the off-season. Marty's true passion was in the theater. Despite it being his field of study, Marty had little time to star in any school productions because of his athletic commitments. The closest he came to acting was modeling clothes for Woolworths and print ads and runway shows at the West Acres Mall. Pretending to love his life in Levi's was no Shakespeare in the Park, but the money he made doing it kept the convertible he was restoring in his free time in pristine condition. Marty was a walking, talking resume for a small-town Mr. Everything. He possessed the confidence, swagger, and smile of a young Billy D. Williams and Burt Reynolds combined. Marty was so quick to the joke it didn't matter if it was funny or not. He had an air about him that made you want to believe in him with an aloofness that made you want to believe he didn't realize it. He was a blast at parties and the apple of every girl's eye on campus. The sepia tones in his iris were beguiling to the doe-eyed stares lost in their gaze. He liked talking to pretty girls, but he loved it when they spoke back. He appreciated how little effort it took to get laid, but afterwards, he'd lose interest faster than the flavor left the gum they were chewing. Pepsi free is ridiculous. It'll never last, Marty scolded. What about Mars bars? Carrie asked. What about them? I wasn't going to get into it, but Mars bars are nothing but a janky Milky Way. Milky Way is a horrible candy bar that never deserved to be replicated in the first place. You don't copy off the dumb kid in class, Marty said. Is that so? I feel some hostility in your voice. Were you hurt by a Milky Way? Show me on this Mars bar where the Milky Way touched you. Not so much hurt. Definitely let down, though. There is no balance. It's just too much nougat without crunch. At least Milky Way is consistent. Mars bars are different in damn near every country you go to, Marty said. So, you've traveled the globe sampling exotic Mars bars? Asked Carrie. No, but an old GI told me that once when I was young. All I know is that if I'm having a bad day in a worse place, I need a candy bar I can depend on to make me feel better. I can't be bothered with guessing games when the stakes are that high, Marty said. I don't understand how you can care so much about candy. Or why a child would be hanging out with old war vets, asked Carrie. My daddy is a preacher and was always trying to fix wayward souls wherever we went. You meet some interesting cats along the way, Marty explained. Carrie was pleasantly surprised by the coincidence. They shared a few moments of commiseration, but forged a true connection while losing track of time through silly and nonsensical banter. Carrie's replacement was running late, and a line had started to form behind Marty. Neither seemed to notice. The two of them could have stood there, ignoring the rest of the world together all evening long. Carrie was finally relieved of her duties by Gary, who proudly martyred a sacrifice in place of the no-show evening crew. The first thing Marty noticed as Carrie walked out of the booth was her firm, yet ample farm girl ass cheeks, spilling just slightly out the bottom of her homemade Daisy Dukes. She trimmed the legs of her work jeans to just past the pockets. It was her first act as an independent college woman. Marty walked Carrie toward the security tent where her bicycle was parked. They held hands and meandered as slowly as possible without standing still to savor every moment of the short jaunt. Carrie's eyes were emerald and intoxicating, but hidden from the sun with her roommate's Esprit visor. Just a glimpse of them through a squint when Carrie looked up and smirked at Marty was enough to make him forget how to breathe. They lingered a little while longer after arriving at Carrie's red Schwinn. They wore half smiles and shifted their gaze between each other's eyes and the ground around their feet. Thanks for walking me to my bicycle, Marty, Carrie said. You streets are dangerous out here, Marty smiled. The only thing dangerous around here is you, Mr. Christophers, she said playfully. You have no idea, little girl. I'd like to find out, said Carrie. Carrie fumbled with her bike lock while she waited for Marty to respond. The few seconds Marty took to hesitate and chuckle felt like an eternity. Her mind raced. Did that make me sound like a harlot? I'd like to find out. Ha! Who do you think you are, Kerrigan Marie Pinelli? Who does he think he is, taking so long to ask me out? At least ask for my number. Is he going to try and kiss me goodbye? I should make him work for it, but damn if I don't want that man to jump my bones. I mean kiss me. I mean walk me home. Yeah, man. Just stand there looking gorgeous, not saying anything. Ugh. So, I guess I'll see you around campus then? Asked Carrie. Well, we won today, so we're partying at my place tonight, said Marty. We could do that if you want. You pre-planned a victory party? What if you lost? Carrie asked. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. Party is a party, right? He asked. Well, when you sell it like that, how could a girl say no? Shall we go right now? Asked Carrie. You don't want to go right now. There's no one there but my roommates doing keg stands. Everyone will start showing up after Black Betty and the Ramble Lambs play the grandstand. A Ram Jam cover band? Carrie asked. Yeah, they're big here for some reason. Okay, that's perfect. It'll give me time to shower off the sugar and regret from the last week of my life. What dorm do you live in? I live in a house over on 12th Street. I can pick you up and drive you there, Marty said. Isn't that where all the frat houses are? Are you a frat boy, Marty? Carrie asked with a distaste in her mouth. It's the football house. It's kind of rowdy at times, but it beats bunk beds in an RA with a switch up his ass, said Marty. Must be nice to have that option, Mr. Football Star, said Carrie. I don't just go riding around in cars with boys I don't know. I'm a pastor's daughter, after all. She smiled, winked, and straddled her bike proudly like a southern debutante as she said this. I'm not just some boy. I'm the son of a preacher man, said Marty. I know that being a pastor's daughter didn't stop you from putting those shorts on this morning. Something tells me you like not to think so much about what your daddy says. Also, I'm going to pick you up in a pretty rad car. My caddy took third in the car show earlier. Wow, Billy Ray. Third, she replied facetiously. Way to squeeze that little fun fact in the mix. Aren't you impressed? Marty asked. Maybe if you'd taken first. Carrie began to pedal off as she told Marty to pick her up at 8 o'clock. Marty shouted back as she shrunk into the horizon. Wait, how am I supposed to find you? I don't know where you live, she shouted back. It's a small campus. Use your third-place Cadillac to find me. She blew Marty a kiss and waved goodbye, nearly crashing her bike as she tried to stay cool turning around. Act 2. Marty couldn't shake the moments he shared with Carrie, nor did he want to. Although his quest for love seemed impossible, Marty both welcomed and rose to the challenge. On campus or at road games, Marty fucked with little effort. He didn't leave the house each morning with the intention to sleep with every girl he talked to, but he was open to the idea with most of them. Marty was about connection rather than conquest. He never premeditated a plan to swoon a girl before. Marty picked up his buddy Roger for reinforcements. Roger Mikowski was a shy calculus major that kept stats for the football team. He was present at every practice and every game, charting success percentages far more in depth than anyone ever asked him to. Roger was practically invisible to the team unless he was getting picked on or standing at Marty's side. They became friends after Marty started sitting next to him in the front of the team bus to avoid the pre-game pussy powwow the rest of the team would have, bragging about all the sex they weren't having. Marty tossed his keys to Roger as he approached the car. I need you to take the wheel on this one, buddy. You ready? He asked as he began climbing up the trunk. You're trusting me to drive Jezebel? I don't know, man. My dad's Yugo was already dented to shit when he gave it to me. A third-place Cadillac is too much pressure. Why are you climbing on the roof? Roger asked. Because I don't know where this broad lives, Marty said. When we drive around looking, she has to be able to see me in case I don't see her first. That's crazy. No way, said Roger. You're gonna fall through the soft top if not completely off the side. I've got great balance, said Marty. Look, I can just straddle the sides like this. Just drive slowly. Can't we just let the top down? Stand on the seat if you must be so reckless, said Roger. I'm already up here. You got this. I trust you, Raj. Just don't fuck it up, Marty said with a wink. Roger drove Marty around campus slowly while he stood balancing on the roof of the Eldorado. They blasted the song Oh Sherry by Steve Perry from the car speakers. Roger played and rewound the tape repeatedly while Marty shouted to the music from the top of his lungs, changing the song's namesake from Sherry to Carrie to bring it all home. An hour had passed before Carrie poked her head outside of her dorm room window. Marty? Carrie shouted, feeling both disgusted and flattered by the display she was witnessing. The car was about a half a block past her window before Marty figured out where his name was being called from. Quickly and carefully, Marty squatted down as far as he could to slap the windshield, signaling Roger to stop. Roger's mind hadn't been in the car since the third or fourth loop of the song. Startled, Roger slammed on the brakes, sending Marty stumbling, rolling down the hood of the car until he hit the pavement. He lied there in defeat, sprawled out like a starfish. Roger whipped the door open so quickly it bounced back and slammed on his legs. He ran to Marty's aid in hysteria to find him gently chuckling as he stared into the sky. Well, we found her, Raj, Marty said sarcastically. Marty, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Holy shit, if you're hurt and can't play, it'll be all my fault. I'm gonna get pulverized. Please tell me that you're okay, Roger pleaded. Yeah, Raj, I'm fine. Relax. Now get lost. Are you sure? Roger asked. Yes, I'm sure. I'll see you at the party. Okay, Marty. You are still coming, right? Oh, I'll be coming, all right. I'll be at the party, too. It is my house, isn't it? Yeah, well, Are you guys coming right away? Or what time are you going to be back? Roger asked. Just go to the party, Raj, Marty said. Who's going to be there for me to hang out with until you get there? Literally everyone we've known since freshman year. Nobody is going to tell you that you don't belong there, Roger. Schneider, Elk, and Gasparini like you just fine. We hang out almost every day. The Three Stooges are your friends. They only put up with me because you do, Roger said. I don't put up with you, Roger. You're my boy. I dig your rock collection, but most people don't want to hear about that shit. That's all. When you get there and see them, speak. Say hello when you walk into the room. Don't just stand there and be awkward. Laugh when others do. Look, Raj, nothing is out there to get you, but I'm not always going to be around to protect you, you dig? Jeez, okay, Dad. I'll go to the party, Roger said, nodding his head. He turned slowly to walk away, kicking pebbles down the pavement while he dragged his feet to Marty's house. Hey, Raj, Marty shouted. Yeah, Marty? Thanks, pal. Anything for you, buddy, Roger replied with a grin. Carrie approached the scene of the accident, trying her best to curtail laughter. Carrie asked with a half-hearted seriousness. Are you hurt? A little, but it's mostly my pride, so it's fine, Marty said with confidence. Something tells me you may have some pride to spare, so I think you'll be all right, Carrie said. She giggled and stroked his face, then helped Marty off the ground. Thank you, said Marty, dusting himself off. This may sting a little, though, Carrie said, pausing. But you're a terrible singer. I mean, that was cute and all, but stick to football, kiddo. Wow, Marty replied. Tough crowd. Are you always talking shit, or do you just enjoy giving me the business in particular? I think it's just you, actually, said Carrie. I can't talk this way at home, so I guess I'm catching up for lost time. I feel oddly comfortable enough with ripping you apart, and you strangely seem to enjoy it for some reason. So why stop now? Then don't. Just hop in the car and let's ride, said Marty. I can be your tour guide and punching bag. Ride? Carrie asked. In your third-place Cadillac? I thought we were going to a party. What's the rush? The party isn't going anywhere. Allow me to squire a lady about town. Thou shalt witness all the cool shit. Carrie rolled her eyes aggressively. What was that for? Marty asked. That was at your Shakespeare. And for thinking that there's cool shit in Fargo, she said with folded arms. The lady doth protest too much. Ye have little faith. Oh gosh. Well, come what come may, I guess, Carrie said, pretending she didn't enjoy his Shakespearean accent. Marty stood with wide eyes and his head cocked in disbelief. Thou doth not have to be a theater kid to know Shakespeare, stupid, Carrie added. Fair enough. But most don't care unless thou art a child of the theater, said Marty. Well, as good luck would have it, here I am, Carrie said. Let's go then. We can ride for as little or as long as you wish. Besides, you kind of owe me. Oh, do I now? Carrie asked. Pretty much. How do you figure? Well, I did risk my life searching high and low to find you. I think that warrants a little one-on-one time, Marty said, smirking and moving his hands up and down like a tipping scale. That's a tad dramatic, but okay, Slick. I'm game. But first, will you answer one question for me? Carrie asked as Marty slowly escorted her to the passenger side door. Shoot, said Marty. How many times have you done this whole car roof serenade to get girls before? Asked Carrie. 0. I saw it in Teen Wolf, Marty assured her. He shut Carrie's door and did a courtesy jog around the front of the car to get in on the driver's side. Marty sat basking in the roar of his baby's V8 as he turned the ignition key. Eyes closed, he could still feel Carrie staring at him, poised with a follow-up question. May I ask who you saw Teen Wolf with? Carrie asked. No, you may not, Marty said abruptly. You said you only had one question. 2 questions are really going to cost you. Just what, pray tell, is the cost of a second question, sir? Carrie asked. Marty gripped the wheel with both hands, revved the engine, and bobbed his eyebrows at her. Dork, let's go before I change my mind, Carrie said as they peeled off. Act 3. 3 hours of driving later, Carrie and Marty had seen almost nothing yet shared almost everything about themselves. They wasted not one moment of their time together contemplating what to say next. They could speak freely to one another. The foreign concept of being listened to without judgment was a liberating experience. They could laugh and riff off one another in between much deeper interpersonal connections. Silky segues back and forth with jazzy, unrefined precision. Comedic chemistry between them was palpable. Even when they were bullshitting, none of it was bullshit. The only sight Marty took Carrie to see was the last stop of the evening. They pulled up to a lookout point in a town about 10 minutes' drive away from campus. A popular destination for young adults and teenagers without privacy to get lucky. That night, the vista was empty because of the fair, which meant it belonged to them. They lay together under a blanket of constellations on the hood of Marty's baby blue Eldorado. It was still lukewarm from the long drive. The crisp air whispering secrets through the surrounding elm trees balanced the heat radiating beneath them. Carrie rested her head on Marty's prodigious chest. The sound of his mellow, methodic heartbeat pulsated straight through Carrie's ear and into her soul. They shared heartbeats in a joint while they watched the moonlight bounce off the gentle ripples dancing across Lake Sakakawea in the distance. Carrie only hit the doobie once before letting Marty finish the job. She'd never smoked before. Besides, she was already high on the aroma of neighboring lilacs and the lingering scent of Drakkar Noir on Marty's hoodie. The purple haze was just a bonus. They excused themselves to kiss the sky, reconvening in a world all their own. One so high and far away from the others, it felt as if they would never land again. It was the first time they'd shut up since they met each other. They hadn't run out of words to speak. They just didn't need them anymore. The crickets courting each other, the owls preaching to the night sky, and the sound of silent, symbiotic synchronicity was a sweeter soliloquy than either of them could have uttered to surmise such a simpatico. The tender stroke of Marty's strong yet curiously soft fingers through her wavy auburn hair said all that Carrie needed to hear. Marty kissed Carrie gently on the crown of her head, breathing in the finesse shampoo wafting from her freshly washed hair. Carrie tilted her head back just slightly enough to make eye contact, staring over her brow with innocently mischievous bedroom eyes. Carrie closed them slowly as Marty's lips drew closer to hers. Their first kiss was gentle for an instant, then escalated rapidly to deep-faced French kissing, right before it graduated to passionate lovemaking. The heat radiating from their humping bodies was a beacon for an onslaught of eager mosquitoes. They lay post-coitally with their sweaty backs fused to the hood of Marty's Cadillac, oblivious to the fact they were being devoured. Those bloodsuckers may have had their way all night had it been not for the rustling sound in the nearby bushes. The disturbance was just enough to startle Marty and snap the state of shared euphoria. "Oh, shit! What was that?" asked Marty in slight panic. "What was what?" asked Carrie. "You didn't just hear that noise coming from over yonder?" "Yonder? Who are you, Mark Twain?" "I'll tell you who I'm not. I'm not the Yankee about to go check it out and get stabbed in the face by whatever's hiding in those bushes over there." Just then, a tiny red fox emerged from the brush. It scampered from its hiding place until stopping 10 feet in front of the car. "It's just a little old baby fox," assured Carrie. "Little old baby fox, my ass. That motherfucker's a wild animal." "Fox don't eat people, you girl," teased Carrie. "I'm not trying to get bit either," Marty said, defending himself. "You don't know what kind of day that fox had up to this moment. Look at him, sizing me up. He's got some frustrations he needs to let out." They heard a faint bark growing louder in the distance. "Did you hear that? That sounded like a goddamn wolf." "Are you going to try and tell me wolves don't eat people either?" Marty asked. The fox sauntered off. Shortly thereafter, a feral labradoodle passed through their foreground, chasing after the fox. "Oh no! Look out for the big bad mangy puppy dog," Carrie teased. "There wasn't much to do growing up besides watch the critters play. Nature is just a game, Marty. Those two were just passing through, playing tag like they would have been if we weren't here. We may have given the pup a chance to catch up by distracting the fox for a couple seconds, but other than that, their game has nothing to do with us." The expression on Marty's face was still uneasy and his body was rigid. It felt as if there was a hidden meaning in what she'd said. However, Marty's manhood would not allow him to admit there was no reason to be frightened. "Marty, if you're still scared, why don't we just get in the car? Close up the ragtop and lock the doors tightly," asked Carrie. "I ain't scared of nothing," declared Marty. "But these mosquitoes are eating my black ass alive. Literally. Let's get back in the car. Okay, Marty, Carrie said, appeasing his masculinity. They gathered their clothing and retreated inside the car. Marty turned on the car and spun the volume knob on the radio down to a nearly inaudible level. Carrie slid across the bench seat to claim space in Marty's aloof yet tender embrace. I love that you said ragtop, by the way, said Marty. Carrie smiled and squeezed Marty a little tighter. You've got your work cut out for you, Marty Christophers. Oh, do I? Sure. If this is what a first date looks like with you, I can't even imagine what tomorrow will be like. Marty hesitated. His face wore a wince of impending doom. He regrettably exhaled and replied, Shit. What do you mean, shit? She asked. Shit, as in... Shit, I already have plans for tomorrow, but the next day works? Or shit as in a cocky way, like, shit, girl, just wait and see. I mean shit as in... Oh, I don't know how to make us sound clever. I'm dropping out of school and skipping town in the morning, Marty said. You're what? But why? Classes haven't even started yet, Marty. That seems like the perfect time to quit, doesn't it? You're just going to drop a smoke bomb and leave without telling anyone? Asked Carrie. What about me? I opened my heart, my soul, and my flippin' legs to you, and now you're just going to hit the open road without saying a word? I'm sorry, said Marty. I wasn't keeping it from you. I just haven't thought about tomorrow since I caught a hankering for some cotton candy. I swear I didn't plan it this way. I don't need to share my life story to get some. This just sort of happened. This wasn't your first time, was it? Please. I've been to overnight church camp, Carrie said defensively. She was lying, of course. She'd heard stories of lost V-cards at Vacation Bible School, but with her parents running the camps, Carrie couldn't wander far enough away to lose track of her virginity. Huh, that's crazy. I lost my virginity at a choir competition in Minneapolis, said Marty. Why should I believe you? Asked Carrie. You probably made up the party, just to blow it off and get me out in the woods to fool around, didn't you? If I were lying to you all day, why would I stop now? Asked Marty. Why'd you pick me up in your third-place Cadillac if the party was only a couple blocks away? Asked Carrie. Again with the third-place business. You wouldn't tell me where you lived, remember? Marty said. You're the one who wanted to play hide-and-seek. The party is real, but truth be told, I wasn't trying to go. But it's your house. Why would you throw a party that you don't want to be a part of? Who are you, the Great Gatsby? Because if I went to the party, I would have to lie all night, said Marty. No one else knows I'm leaving, and if they did, they would only try and make me stay. I need to get out of this fucking town, but they love it and won't understand why I have to say goodbye. So I'm not going to. I'm going to drive off into the sunset. Wouldn't you be driving off into the sunrise? You're a little too late for the sunset. Sunset was the plan before this detour, said Marty. What are you running away from? Asked Carrie. Is everybody loving you too hard to handle? Nobody loves me here, said Marty, shaking his head. They love the feeling of winning football games. The name printed on the back of the jersey is irrelevant. When did you strike that epiphany? Asked Carrie. A little bit after we won today, said Marty. All the hands high-fiving me and patting me on the shoulder pads were attached to the same hicks that cursed my name and called for my expulsion after we lost the championship last year. I went undefeated for 3 seasons and won us 2 national championships. I made one mistake that happened to cost us a 3rd title, then suddenly I'm an affirmative action scholarship and stealing opportunities for more deserving prospects. It's bullshit. Then just quit the football team, said Carrie. Stay here, finish school, and date me. Maybe you can actually audition for a play, Mr. Actor. I'll lose my scholarship if I don't play, said Marty. It's kind of difficult to act in a school play if I'm not a student. There aren't many acting opportunities around here outside of the birthday clown at Hardee's. Believe me, that gig is not worth the free curly fries. Marty continued to ramble on. He stared out the passenger side window with existential longing. Carrie kept her gaze on him. To be honest, I don't even like sports that much, Marty said. Yeah, sure. I'm naturally gifted, I guess. But the real gift was having an excuse not to spend my nights waiting for choir practice to be done or follow my father to whatever broken home or rec center he was trying to fix. I got bigger, faster, and stronger. Rec sports led to high school athletics, which led to a scholarship offer. I accepted the first opportunity to get out of my house, which is how we are sitting here talking to one another." "I take it you aren't going back to Lake Forest then?" asked Carrie. "For what?" asked Marty, whipping his head back to Carrie's attention. "So my dad can make me run a sports ministry for him in exchange for food and shelter? Fuck him. I'm tired of pretending to be who everyone else wants me to be. I'm going to Broadway to be a pro actor." "That seems like a logical solution," Carrie said sarcastically. "If all the world is a stage and we are merely players, what is the point? Aren't you just exchanging one role for another?" "Yeah, but for the first time in my life, I'll be in control of what role I'm playing," said Marty. "If they turned my life into a play, I'd barely be a bit player in my own production. I'm going to be a leading man in my life, as well as on the stage. This time, I'm going to create my own character arc. I'll be damned if I'm going to live another day supporting someone else's storyline." "I get that, I guess," Carrie said reluctantly. "I put as many miles between me and my hometown as possible coming here. But what about our storyline? How serendipitous would it be if you met me right before you skipped town? Then we fall in love and live happily ever after." "That would be sweet, and the way life ought to work." "But what if it doesn't?" asked Marty. "What if I martyr my dreams in the name of love and we break up in 2 weeks? Our story arcs crossed one another today, and I'm grateful for that. Tonight was amazing and unexpected, and that's the coolest shit about it. If I stay, we've got to be something to make it worth it. That's not fair to either one of us. This isn't some one-night fling to me. I think I might be in love with you," said Carrie. "I maybe might be in love with you too, but neither one of us know that for sure," said Marty. "I do know for sure that I can't stay here anymore. Who knows? Maybe the Big Apple won't be all that it's cracked up to be, and I'll come running back to our serendipity. We can write each other just in case life really is like the movies." Marty drove Carrie home, kissed her on the forehead, and said goodbye. Carrie held back her tears and wished him the best, then rushed out of the car and scurried up the walkway before Marty could see her cry. Marty sat parked outside of her dorm room window until he saw her lights turn on. Carrie looked out of her window to see Marty's third-place Cadillac driving off into the sunrise. Pete and Gwendoline Grew Up is an adult Storytime Publishing's production. Son of a Preacher Man was recorded in Enchanted Santa Fe at the Pelipan Portal Studios by J.S. Thompson. Written by J.S. Thompson, with special thank you to the editors, revisers, and advisors Robert Peach, Adam Herman, John Jason Phillips, and Kyle Schurz. Copyright 2023, Adult Storytime Publishing, LLC. All rights reserved. Namaste, bitches.